I know as you're preparing for a game, there's not a lot of time to reflect, but would you anticipate it will be a little bit emotional for you on Sunday, and just how much did your time in Cincinnati mean to you and your family?
Yeah, we really enjoyed our time in Cincinnati. I basically spent my whole married life there. We got married right before my rookie year, and we grew a lot as a family in Cincinnati, and so I had 3 kids in it while we were there and everything. So Cincinnati meant a lot to us. There's a lot of good people. We've met a ton of people, not only within the organization, but just around the community. We got involved in the community, and our time in Cincinnati meant a lot to us, and it's something that we're always very thankful for, that we got to spend the 9 years there.
Do you wish you would have had the opportunity this year to see some people? Because you're going to be basically quarantined by the time you get up there, and I know it's a business trip, but you're not really going to be able to see many people just because of the rules that are in place.
Right. Obviously in a normal year that we would have a chance to have some time to kind of get out of the hotel and all that kind of stuff. Unfortunately, it won't be the case this year. So, I won't be able to have that opportunity to go see some people that I probably could have seen.
Andy, you don't need extra motivation to want to win a game, but when you think about it, do you say this is even more emotion that I want to do, or you kind of divorce the emotion from what you need to do?
Every game's important. Every time you have the opportunity to compete, you want to win, and all of that. Just this one happens to be against a former team that I played for a long time. It's going to be, like I said after the game, going to be a little different being on the other sideline, being in the other locker room, and all that kind of stuff. But preparation's the same, and you're going about it the same way, and trying to do anything you can to win.
Andy, when you signed here with the Cowboys.
I didn't catch that. What was that?
Go ahead, Todd.
Yeah, Andy, when you signed here, it was, you told us that you still believe you're a starter in this league and you want to be a starter again in 2021. How do you believe that you played to show that you can still be that guy going forward for here or whatever happens in the future, or for another team?
Yeah, there's obviously a lot to happen after this year, but my focus is right now. I'm trying to do everything I can right now to help this team win and play well in the process. And so that's my sole focus. That's all I'm trying to do. And I've got 4 more opportunities this year to prove that.
How do you reflect on the way things ended football-wise in Cincy, Andy?
Yeah, there's some disappointment there. Some things that happened, in the last year that I wish would have been different. So, but at the end of the day, I'm thankful for my time in Cincinnati.
Is one of those being on the market sooner, to where you might have had a choice to find a spot where you could have been a starter sooner?
Like I said, there's some things that happened at the end that I wish would have been a little different. But that led me here to Dallas, and I'm thankful to be here.
Are you able to look at those things?
Andy, Zeke mentioned today that anyone around the building would be frustrated right now if you're not frustrated and you don't care. How do you guys go about handling that frustration? Are you someone who shows that?
Yeah, it's one that you can be frustrated, but also you have to know that we've got to get this thing fixed. And so all we can worry about is what we're doing, and each person personally has to make a commitment to themselves that they're going to do everything they can to get this thing turned around and help us win. And I think at the end of the day, that's the biggest thing. Yes, frustration is one thing, but you got to use it, and you got to make sure that you're doing all the things that you can do to make sure you're giving this team the best opportunity on Sundays.
Coach McCarthy, you thought that your game against Baltimore was the best one you've had as a Cowboy. As you review it, do you look at it that way too? Do you think that was your best game so far?
Yeah, I felt like I did some good things. I was really confident with everything that we were doing. I felt like I gave our guys chances, and For me, I felt like I said, I did some good things, but at the end of the day, we're judged on wins and losses, and we weren't able to get it done. So I've got to find a way to do just a little more to help us win.
Do you feel you're finally in a place where you're able to get a little continuity and maybe get some rhythm to your game with you had the COVID and the concussion and just the way the season's been chopped up? Is this the first point where you feel this is really a place where you can kind of build on and get some rhythm?
Yeah, I feel very comfortable with everything we're doing right now and with our guys and just the way I've been throwing the ball. And so I think that's, you can say, am I more comfortable now or all that kind of stuff. I don't know if I'd necessarily say I'm more comfortable, but I feel really good about where I'm at.
On dropbacks, you spent a little bit more time in the pocket on Tuesday than you had in recent games. How do you feel your protection held up, and just maybe speak a little bit to the communication with that group?
Yeah, I thought the communication was really good on Tuesday. I thought they played really well. They gave me a lot of time back there, and it may have correlated to me holding on the ball a little bit longer than what I had in a couple of these other weeks. And so, but I thought those guys did a great job, especially with all the looks that Baltimore can give you. I felt like we were prepared and we were ready to go, and those guys played a really good game.
Andy, Marvin Lewis's name is coming up as potential head coaching candidate in other spots. Obviously, he was your coach for a good portion of your time there. What is it about Marvin that helped you guys in Cincinnati make the playoffs? I know you didn't have the postseason success, but what about Marvin would make him a good candidate again going forward?
Marvin's a great coach. He's great for players. I feel like he knows how to get the most out of everybody. He's a guy that I'm very thankful for. He obviously drafted me in Cincinnati. We have had a great relationship from the beginning to even now, and so I think it's smart for teams to look at him as a head coach and just his ability, what we were able to do. Early on in my career, shoot 5 straight trips to the postseason. That's hard to do, and that's a lot of that's because of Marvin and what he was able to get those teams to do and to play well. And I think it's a great idea to look at Marvin.
We'll finish this up with Jory right now, and then after that, if anybody on the phone from Cincinnati wants to jump in, we'll leave a few minutes for you guys.
Andy, Zeke also talked to us today about Coach McCarthy discussing with players the effort at the end of the Ravens game, not you particularly, but what's the key to the team as a whole, making sure that you always have the effort that needs to be in? How do you fix it if you don't?
Yeah, I think that's one of those things that you shouldn't have to talk about. It's your effort. And so for us, we got to make sure that we're doing everything we can, each play, each opportunity we're out there, to make the most out of every play and every series and all that stuff. So I think effort's the number one thing that you got to work. You shouldn't have to talk about, but that's between you and as a player. So I think that's that's kind of one of the things that Mike hit on and Zeke talked about.
Anybody from
Andy,
Cincinnati?
a quick question about which are you most proud of? The records that you set as a quarterback on the field for the Cincinnati Bengals, or the lives that you affected and helped in such a positive way with what you did with your foundation, with your time here in Cincinnati? Yeah,
I think that's what's so cool about the game of football and just professional sports in general. It gives you that platform. And for me and my wife and my family, we wanted to make the most of it. So when I think about Cincinnati, obviously we think about the football and the success that we were able to have and all the different stuff. But I think we don't just think about football when we think about Cincinnati. We think about the impact that we were able to make in the hospital and these kids and their families, their lives, and the people we met along the way. I think that's when we right now, being away from Cincinnati now and looking back at it, we think about all the people that we were able to meet and the relationships we were able to make.
Andy, have you stayed kept up with the Bengals, and what were your thoughts about Joe Burrow before he got hurt?
Yeah, I would keep up with them as much as I could. There's some crossover tape that we had this year just with our division playing the AFC North. And so, I thought Joe's had a really good year. I thought he was doing a lot of really good things and was throwing the ball really well.
Andy, do you keep in touch with any of your old teammates? Is there still a lot of texting and all going on with some of the guys?
Yeah, I still talk to a good amount of guys on the team, and like I said, I've kept up with them and followed what they've been doing on Sundays, and also just trying to catch up just because I haven't seen them, haven't talked to them in a while. So I would definitely say that I've kept up with a lot of guys.
They look a little bit different on defense, I would imagine, to you.
Yeah, and there's been some turnover there, some different guys that are out there. Watching some of the tape, not recognizing as many guys as when I was there.
Andy, what was it like dealing with the double whammy of concussions, serious concussion, and then COVID, the follow-up of COVID? What was it like dealing with that double whammy?
Yeah, it was one of those things where, kind of at the end of the recovery from the concussion, I got a headache, and then all of a sudden I started to get the body aches and chills, and then I realized, okay, well, this is more than just the headache from the concussion. And then, had to do the whole process with COVID and get through that. I think from the concussion standpoint, it was probably nice that I had the extra couple weeks to have my head heal and have that extra time, but then had to deal with all the stuff with COVID. So thankful to be on the other side of it now and kind of have that behind me.
What about dealing with playing on Thanksgiving, having 12 days off, play a game, and then playing in less than 5 days, really, 4.5 days? I mean, the timing of that is odd. I guess it's 2020, but what do you think about that?
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's kind of how this year's been. You never know what's going to happen. The game kept getting moved. We're supposed to play another Thursday, and then it was going to be a Monday, and then it got moved to Tuesday. So, for us, it was a long time in between those two games. So, and then to have this one turn around and go from Tuesday to Sunday. So, it's just kind of how the schedule's been. It's kind of what we signed. It's what we signed up for. We're playing this year, and just trying to make the most of what we have.
Andy, I know you never know what will ever happen down the line in the future, but would you ever be open to coming back and playing in Cincinnati sometime in the future, or is that something that's like you've kind of been here and done that and moved on in your career?
There's still 4 more games in this year, and we'll let the offseason take care of itself. That's all I'm worried about.
Is there any one game that stands out, Andy, at Paul Brown? Any home games stand out to you?
Man, I feel like there was, so many throughout my career. It's hard to pick just one. Had several really good games. Had some, had a 5-touchdown game against the Jets. Had a couple 4-touchdown games against the Vikings, the Colts. I mean, there's some games I can go back and think about that were really good. The comeback we had against Seattle in 15 at the end of that game, that's one of those games where when we needed to make a play, we were able to get it done. I mean, so there's some stuff that now being away from it a little bit and thinking back about my time in Cincinnati, there's some really good games with some really good teams, and fun to go back and kind of reminisce.
Playing against Baltimore last week, I mean, you played against them a bunch of times. You had some memorable games, including the big game, the touchdown pass to Tyler Boyd, and the Buffalo fans responded by getting them in the playoffs by, being very generous to your foundation. What kind of a memory was it playing against the Ravens again?
Yeah, I forget who it was, but they said, now that I'm out of the AFC North, I can't get away from it. And so getting to play Baltimore again last week, like you said, there's been a ton of good games against Baltimore. And, that's one of the most memorable ones, and one that has obviously made a ton of news because of the stuff that happened with Buffalo afterwards with the touchdown to TB there. So, like I said, it was, I felt like I'd been in that stadium a lot on Tuesday, and you know, it's some of the stuff that I can talk about with some of these guys here who had never been there before.
You know, Andy, you're obviously, you know, far removed from your time here in Cincy now, and when you go back and you look at that year with Zac, I mean, what kind of stand out, or what was your overall feel of working with Zac for a year?
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, it was unfortunate just with the way that some of those games turned out. We were in a bunch of games and weren't able to finish, and you know, to only win 2 games that year was frustrating, especially because of the success that we had there in the past. And so, you know, I would definitely say that you know, last year was, from a football standpoint, was tough, frustrating. Wish we could have found ways to win some more games.
We got time for one more.
Andy, what was the biggest thing you learned from last year? You know, obviously, like you said, it didn't live up to anybody's expectations, including your own, but in every situation you learned something. What was the biggest thing you learned from your experience?
Yeah, I don't think it matters, you know, where you're at. You still have to do everything you can to make sure you're doing it the right way. And through a lot of stuff that went on last year, you know, I felt like that was the most important thing as a player and as a person, of just how you're handling all the stuff that goes on. And so at the end of the day, you want to be who you are, and you don't want your circumstance, you don't want anything to change that. And so I think that's the most important thing that I learned.
By the way, Jake sends his best, man.
Yeah. Good to talk to y'all guys from Cincinnati. I recognize all the voices, so
Yeah.
so all right. See you guys.
Everyone.
Andy.